Hello and welcome back to the Wisdom of Odin. Today I am continuing my journey further north, now into Scandinavia. I have arrived in Denmark, and I have a couple of things I want to show you today. So this is kind of a continuation of a previous video I released talking about Vikings in Germany. And today we're talking about Vikings in Denmark. And I have a couple of things to show you on that note. So I'm actually in the town of Ribe right now, which is a small town that I've explored a little bit. And the thing that makes it interesting is that it's one of the oldest cities in Europe. In fact, it's the oldest city in all of Scandinavia. Yes, here in Denmark, not Norway, not Sweden, but Denmark. This city just celebrated its 1300th birthday. That's right, 1300 years old, founded by the Danish Vikings. So great history here. But the real reason we are here is because of the things built around this history. So let me show you the first one. So the first place we'll be checking out is the Ribe Viking Center. That's right, these are the Norns, right here in Denmark, weaving the fates. And then back here is actually where the center is. So the Viking Center is actually a recreation village with recreation things and markets and activities that you can do here in Ribe. And then over here, you have the Midgard serpent casually hanging out to the entrance. You can already see the hall right there. And the reason I haven't actually gone in is because it's closed right now. So we'll be going in tomorrow. So yes, lots to talk about, lots to show you, really excited. But for now, I'm gonna go get some rest, and I will see you tomorrow when we explore the Ribe Viking Center as well as the Ribe Viking Museum. Hello, good morning, and welcome back. So we just got in. Viking church thing, not as exciting over there, but really looking forward to exploring around and showing you some footage. Kind of my expectations coming in are maybe a little bit more Renaissance fair from the States, but I'm curious to see what it's going to be like. They got horses. They got horse poop. They have cool earthen structures, and this is actually what I want to talk about here. So this is something I've always enjoyed, is the earthen structure on top here with the grass growing on top of a wooden roof, which I assume is for insulation purposes, and is very iconic to the Scandinavian style, and something I would really like to see in a hall one day once again. Let me tell you some reasons why you should hate this church behind me. One, because it's a Viking-style church in a Viking village, and it's the first thing you see in here, but also because it was made by Ansgar, or represents Ansgar, dedicated to him, whatever you want to say. Ansgar is an asshole. So he was one of the main priests and proponents to convert Denmark, as well as the recent village we went to in Heathenry. So if you haven't checked that already, I do have another Vikings in Germany video where we mentioned Ansgar as well, and he's one of the main people that went down to start converting them in Heithenry. And sure enough, there's actually a place dedicated to him, a massive statue here in the middle of town. And so it's really a celebration of the conversion of the heathen. And so it's not exactly something I like seeing in the very beginning, as a place dedicated to the conversion of heathenry, but at least it's in a cool Viking style, I suppose. But fuck that guy. So here inside the Ansgar church, that son of a bitch, you know, looking at these walls, I mean, again, this is a recreation, but they're trying to do it as historically accurate as possible. The only thing I can take away from walking in here is, imagine if these were depictions of the gods instead. Imagine if they were depictions of the mythology, and you would use them to tell the story of the mythology to people, because obviously you wouldn't have a written language for the most part, at least not to a great extent. I mean, you have the runes, but I do think that depictions like this would have been used more for telling stories of mythology, but now it tells stories of Christianity. Actually, good example right here. So down here is a tapestry. So this is actually one of the oldest depictions of Yggdrasil that we have that was found in a tapestry. Again, obviously not the original, but cool to see it. And maybe gives you an idea of what maybe it could have looked like when it wasn't this, and maybe if it was more like this. Also, more than likely, this would have been Sigurd at some point, but now it's St. Michael. So lots of little changes that were made throughout time in the conversion period. I've gotten so much filming done already, just as at first getting here, but I just saw a tour bus pull up, so I'm sitting here like, oh crap, I gotta try to get other things. So we're going to the Great Hall right now before the tour bus shows up. Let's go. So biggest takeaways from the hall itself, definitely looking at it, the 3 sections is not something I've seen before. And I mean, again, from what I can tell, everything here is as historically accurate as possible. So the first entrance part here is more raw materials, possibly some animals, some leatherworking, crafting, things like that. The middle section is more of the cooking area, the preparation area, and then the back part was the feasting hall with a bed chamber on the other side. So interesting to see that breakdown and that cutaway, because, you know, I think we always picture Viking halls as these long just halls, but I mean, practicality purposes, they would have been divided into several different parts, especially during the winter when everyone would have been just kind of in here, and you wanted to have most of your things in here when it was dark and when it was cold. Other than that, just really cool seeing the Freya statue, and then really cool seeing the Odin statue, of course, as well. They did a really good job, mostly because it's dark and it's hard to see anything, which means they actually did it historically accurate, which is one of the things we will most likely change when we build a hall of our own, is some better lighting. So from perspective here, this is eye level for me. So people back then were truly hobbits. All right, let's go in. Ducking down, going in. Oh. Kind of cool. You know, I look at something like this and, you know, again, modernizing a little bit, but I love the fire pit being right here in the center and then having the beds all around it. That's something very similar to what we had in the Ohio spring gathering. And so, again, I like this concept. Again, this is meant to be old. It's meant to be archaic, but let's modernize it a little bit for what we need for a future hall. You know, add maybe some bunk beds, still have the fire in the center. You know, honestly, keep the wood floor, the wood walls and the stone flooring, the tapestry. So I think just modernizing everything by like 10% would be perfect for modern day usage while still honoring what was created in the past. So as we kind of walk through these fields, it makes me think, you know, this is a very flat place, but at the same time, you know, the fact that it's a little bit more wild, I really love, you know, coming from the very manicured cornlands of Kentucky, you know, seeing this, you know, a Viking hall in the distance, but then everything's a little unkept, but still wild, but still domesticated in a way. It just feels more beautiful. It's better than the ultra-industrialized cornfields of our modern age, where everything's just kind of boring and doesn't embrace nature. Here, just embraces nature, and I really love that. There are only 2 options. Either this is the very cow that licked us out of the universe, or it's just a pregnant cow. But wow, look at the size of that cow. I mean that in a good way, like in the lick the salt of the universe kind of way. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend checking out my Vikings in Germany video, because we do have a version of this. So this is a ring fort that we have entered here that goes all the way around. And I've seen a couple of these across Germany and now in Denmark, of course, but the one in Heidebø is the biggest I've seen. I mean, it's basically took this and ramped it up to 11 with a rampart and went around the entire city at one point, one of the largest cities during the Viking Age, and even went out into the ocean or into the sea at one point. And again, so to see one like this, I don't know if this is actually original or if they created this here. I haven't seen any signs about it, but I mean, very impressive structures for the time, because I mean, very defensible, you know, having a few entrances, probably, you know, barricaded with more wood and things like that. I mean, very, very fascinating structures that still kind of honor the world, the earth in a way, because it's made from the earth. So yeah, just thought you would find another ring fort very interesting. So real quick, I did find some information about the buildings themselves. They are recreations of buildings that were found near Ribe. So these are not the original foundations or where they were put, but it is a recreation village of a village found nearby. That was also Ribe itself. So yeah, just figured I'd tell you that. So I'm actually sitting in the inn of the Ribe Viking Center here. And coming from the German experience at the Heithenry, this is significantly better. I mean, it was great seeing it, but there has been so much love and detail put into all the structures here very clearly. Just like all the little details from the tapestries to the fur hanging from the ceiling there to the fire pit to the, you know, the way the entranceway is, and everything is just really well done. And I really trust its accuracy and just really inspiring to see, but also makes me very thankful for our modern facilities and beds that are not made of just wood. So here you actually have another hall they named the Thing Hall, which is, again, something they found nearby, which is a 30-meter long, which is a very long hall where, again, they made a lot of assumptions, but they, for the most part, I think nailed it. So here you have more of the kitchen area where they would make the food, more of the food prep area in here, you know, where everything would be kept. And then inside there, where there's a family right now, would be the actual hall itself. Now, most interestingly, let me see if I can actually show it to you. I'll wait for them to leave. But there's actually a little shrine built to the gods over here that, of course, I really liked. I'm going to have to do this quick, and I'm going to do it very dramatically. So this is actually a little votive shrine I found with offerings in a little bowl and depictions of the god. It looks like we have Odin, Freya, maybe Sif, and then this creepy two-eyed deity who I don't know. Maybe Loki? I'm not sure. But really loved seeing it in the corner here. I haven't seen a lot of evidence of the religion itself, so this was really nice to see. Ooh, spooky time. But really loved this hall right here overall. And if you recall, when I was talking in the church itself, I was talking about the depictions on the walls. Oh gosh, this is scary. So, like, depictions on the walls over here, they kind of came to that conclusion as well. All along the walls is actually depictions of stories and pagan symbols and things like that, similar to what they had in that church with Christianity. But right here, you can kind of see it. There's a Volknut and then a sun wheel. So yeah, just really neat. Really love this hall in general. Just everything about it. Ooh, very inspiring, and I hope you're finding it just as cool as I am. Also really good to see that some people actually believed in windows. So having more windows would be really nice. Look how much better the lighting is over here versus in the dark, dark corner over there. So yeah, let's make the windows a little bit bigger and we'll start talking. And believe it or not, I almost missed it here because it's so dark. But check this out. So this place went from 1 to 100 real fucking quick on the pagan stuff. So I'm actually like in this like bog, like hidden behind just the normal happy, like, oh, we're crafting, we're doing fun things. And now I'm in this bog where like, there are straight up animal bones. Like, I'm not gonna say they've sacrificed animals back here, but they have definitely left them to rot. I mean, there is just all kinds of like pretty intense pagan shit in here. Like I walked in, I started looking around, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? It was so safe and sanitary, and then all of a sudden I get in here and this is some of the most intense pagan stuff I've seen. The very entrance here, there's a woman giving a tour to a bunch of children. And there's just like straight up like rotting horse heads like on like monuments to like next to the gods and stuff like this. Like, this is a very heavy, like the energy here is very heavy. What are they doing back here? Like seriously, like it was just so happy, friendly, and then all of a sudden it's like, Oh, like someone's back here doing some like heavy stuff, man. For real, guys, this isn't your garden variety paganism. That is a horse head with like horse legs and like feathers and stuff stapled to this. Like, this isn't just entertaining your kids shit, man. This is like someone's doing some heavy stuff here. And then down here, you have like totems to the gods hidden down here with another skull planted in. I think this is from their midsummer offering over here. And then over here is just some like goat head creature. There's some heavy shit going on here, man. All right, so we have just ended our tour of the Ribe Viking Center, and we are about to leave to the Ribe Viking Museum. So final thoughts. My biggest worry would be a little bit Renaissance fairy. And I don't think it was, simply because it really is trying to recreate a living history, where a Renaissance fair isn't necessarily trying to do that, it's trying to be entertainment. While there is entertainment elements here, it does feel more educational. Now, of course, this was ramped up quite a bit when I ran into the pagan area of sacrifices and a little witch hut with charms and talismans and actual offerings and sacrifices. It definitely went up a notch there. So much so, I had to know. So I actually did find someone that kind of camps here and asked him what the story was behind this. And so what he told me is that it's one part reenactment and another part actual people practicing. And I could tell he wasn't a practitioner per se, but he definitely was very nice and very kind to tell me these things. So I guess in one part, it's like, okay, someone has a horse farm, they killed a horse and they have the hide. Oh, great, this will make our Viking village pagan area more authentic. And so they're not even thinking about the religious side. They're just thinking, oh, this will make this more authentic. So they want the actual ritual area to be authentic. So the people who are Christian or not pagan legitimately just care about keeping it as accurate as possible, which is great. I love that. And then the other side of it is there are people that camp here, that actually reenact here, that are into it, and there are actual offerings left there. So it's a two-part thing. And the really exciting thing is he said there's actually a vulva, like a Danish vulva that comes here occasionally and maintains the space sacredly. And so actually comes there and does things for the space and actually performs rituals, which is why it definitely had a vibe. So maybe he was just trying to protect everyone and was just like, well, we're all actually pagan. But I honestly, I really liked his answer. He was like, well, just like in history, it was complicated because there were people that were Christian, there were people that were pagan living side by side. And so he was like, we just don't talk about it. It's like, you do your thing, we do ours. We keep the reenactment alive. That's the most important thing to the people that stay here. And I really respect that. But I also really love that there is a space, that space is 100% used by pagans that still practices faith in a very like they're keeping it alive and very historically. I, of course, am more for the votive offerings, leaving offerings that don't actually kill the animal in the moment. And I think most people are too, but it was really wild to see that. And they are definitely keeping it authentic. With that, we are going to head to the next destination, the Ribe Viking Museum, and see what we learned there. But it has already been a very informative day, and I hope you've enjoyed this video so far and are looking forward to the next part in this adventure. So as we're transitioning to our next location here, if you really enjoy the content at the Wisdom of Odin, and you enjoy that I take you along on these adventures and share with you places that I never even knew existed, please think about supporting this channel on Patreon. Truly, none of this would be possible without the amazing people who support this channel on there. It is such an honor to be able to document these adventures and share them with you. And, you know, you are the reason I do all of this. And that's, you know, to me, one of the big differences. If you're supporting, you know, like Disney Plus or Netflix or Hulu, you know, yes, you're getting a lot of content, but it's not content made for you. If you support this channel, I'm making content for you as the viewer, you as the people that support this channel. I want to make content that really just shares the pagan world and brings it to the United States and shares it around the world. So truly, I love doing this. It's my passion. but I couldn't do it without all of you, and I wouldn't want to do it without all of you. So no matter how you can support this channel, thank you so very much, and I hope you enjoy the next part of this video. I don't know how much exposition there is to give here, but we have arrived. And I wanted to show you that time lapse because it is so quick to get here. So if you're ever able to make it to Ribe, there's two amazing things to do, or at least I'm assuming this last one is amazing as well. So I'm gonna head in here and we'll see how it is. Well, I have to say, that was extremely disappointing, or at the very least, anticlimactic. It's a good thing we started with the Ribe Viking Center. Absolutely love the Ribe Viking Center. However, the museum leaves quite a lot to be desired. So compared to the museum in Heidebø, the museum in Heidebø is much more interesting, has many more artifacts, a lot of really interesting information, and is really well designed and put together. So we kind of flip-flopped. In Germany, when I did my Vikings in Germany video, the village itself was pretty dull and pretty small, especially in comparison to Ribe. But the museum was very good and very informative, whereas here the museum was very dull, and the Viking Center and Recreation Village were amazing. So definitely a give and take relationship here. I mean, a few good things, I guess, to dig out of here. There was a pendant that is Odin with a big long mustache, and one of his names is actually Red Mustache, and so that's the main symbol for the museum, but it was a really tiny pendant, and so that was really cool. There were a couple small little details, you know, small little pendants. That was kind of it. So this is called the Vikinger Museum, the Vikinger Museum. If you would have just called it the Museum of Ribe, the History of Ribe Museum, it would have been better. But the fact that it was called the Vikinger Museum, and yet only half of the building, half of the museum space was actually for the Viking Age. The other half was for the 1400s or past the 1200s, for the Middle Ages. And it was mostly just church artifacts that you can go see for free walking into a church. So the fact that it's marketed as a Vikinger Museum and only half of it was Viking objects, and really not very interesting ones, mostly bits of pottery, not even a sword. They had the pommel of a sword. So, you know, down south in Germany, they had several full swords. They had rune stones, you know, lots of different artifacts and intricate pieces of work, several, you know, religious objects as well. So definitely a little disappointing here. And in fact, I would almost say it's not even worth going to. I mean, support museums, support history. I think that's very important. But as far as an actual like destination on a pilgrimage to see Viking objects, honestly, not even really that worth it, in my opinion. Sadly, I hate to say it, but the Viking little Odin pendant was really all I got that was interesting out of this entire display before all of a sudden it was just kind of ruined by the displays of the Middle Ages, for me, at least. Again, this is just my review, my opinion, but Ribe Viking Center, absolutely incredible. Definitely add it to your list of places that you want to visit if you ever get to go to Denmark or Scandinavia or Europe in general. Ribe Viking Center, absolutely loved it. Had an amazing time. Beautiful scenery, amazing, you know, history, amazing lessons, but you might want to skip the Ribe Viking Museum. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this video and this exploration of Denmark and the Viking history here. I have one more video being filmed here where I drive up to see the Jelling Stones. So make sure you're liked and subscribed and all that good stuff to make sure you're notified when those videos come out. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining for this video. And until the hall, Skål.